Now, last week we talked about iron condors to profit as a stock goes sideways. And there's another way. Calendar spreads. What? Yeah, calendar spreads. We haven't really done much with calendar spreads at all at MWTC. And I think it's time that we start adding this to our portfolio of stock, of strategies. So let's talk about what a calendar spread is. You know, there's a saying in trading that stocks go sideways most of the time. And that's quite true, actually. Here's an example, an old chart. You can see the stock going sideways. So if we can find stocks going sideways, and it happens a lot, then we can use what's called a calendar spread to profit as the stock goes nowhere. That's the idea. Just like an iron condor, there's a difference that I'll share with you here in a few minutes. Okay, so a calendar spread, like the word calendar implies, is that we're going to spread the calendar. We sell a short-term at-the-money option, and then we cover it with a longer-term at-the-money option as well. Same stock, same strike. And you want to do this for less than $1 debit. One of the benefits of calendar spreads is that they're very cheap. There are also 2 legs versus 4 for an iron condor, which means that you pay less commissions. They're cheap. They're quite flexible as well. They're low cost. They have low risk. Managing these at the break evens, your risk is going to be pretty close to 0. So provided there's no gap, you're just not going to lose much on a calendar spread. The return on investment is much better than an iron condor, like a lot better than an iron condor. And they're also very adjustable. I'm not going to cover adjustments here as we introduce this new strategy to some of you might be new. I'm sure most of you in this call have heard about these before. And then that generates this kind of a risk graph. All right. So similar to an iron condor, there's a backyard, you know, between the break evens. This is our profit zone. And as long as the stock stays in the backyard, theta or time decay will suck those colored lines towards profit. So that's the idea. Now, simple exit rules on these are if the stock closes above the upper break even, you exit. And look how much you'd lose here. Depending on when it happens, you might even make money up here. But even if it happened today, we would lose a tiny, tiny bit. And down below, same story. Stock reaches the lower break even, a close, I like a close, closes below the lower break even, you exit for, see my pointer there, a small loss. That is a calendar spread. It profits sideways, stock goes nowhere, it stays range bound, then time will work for you. So let's do some searching. Here's what I'm going to do here. We're going to use Channel Finder to find stocks that are going sideways. We're going to take the results of that scan, and then we're going to feed them to the calendar finder, and that calendar finder will find these types of trades for us. So here's how you use Channel Finder. We did this last week. You know, what I like to do is use the ETFs, REITs, and trusts primarily because they don't have earnings. The biggest problem with a calendar spread is gapping stocks. Earnings is arguably the biggest catalyst for gaps is earnings announcements. So let's not even be there. We'll use ETFs, REITs, and trust. You select best sideways channel, you hit search, and then you save some number of those into my stock list by clicking replace. So what that's going to do for us is it's going to take the best channelers and put them in a holding list. All right, after you do that, then you take the My Stock list, which is now just sideways stocks. You select at the money, put calendars. B2B stands for back-to-back, consecutive expiration dates. And notice, before I go any further, that there's a whole boatload of different types of calendars. All right, so this is just the first brush, the first introduction to this awesome strategy that I love them. They're really awesome. And so then you hit the search button, and then I'll do all of this in a minute. Exit rules, the basic exit rules are You sell 30-day at the money puts, use puts. They're generally cheaper than calls, although calls are fine too. Same risk graph. You can interchange puts and calls, and you'll get the same risk graph, give or take a few cents here and there. And then you use ETFs to avoid earnings. All right, so that's the basic entry rules. And then the exit rules are if you double your money, get out, or if the stock breaches the backyard, jumps the fence, the backyard, closes beyond the break evens, exit for a small loss, and then get out 2 or 3 days before expiration. Simple. So let's do it. I'm going to go into the scanners, stocks, stock rankers, channel finder. All right, so I'm going to have best sideways channel. I'm going to click show here to change this setting here to 5. So that way we get tighter channels, anywhere between 2 and 5% width of a channel. And then I'll select the ETFs list right there and hit search. And that's going to give us sideways stocks. All right, so look here, there's a lot of them here that are just going sideways. This number here, the center line slope, as close it is to 0, the more parallel the channel. And you can see here, there's a whole lot of them. There's a whole lot of them. And so I'm just going to save. No, this is one I want. I got to make sure I can get that one. Okay, it's not in. Okay. All right, let's just take, let me just go to scan down this list and see where we get zeros. There's a lot of them here. I'm going to save the top 200 of these. And I'm going to save those, as I said before, those get saved in my stock list. Click replace. Now we have the top channelers, next step, searchers, single strategy, calendar spreads. Select at the money put. We don't need to see the wizard criteria just yet, not today. At the money puts, grab your sideways list, which is now my stock list, and then you hit search. And this is going to give us a list of calendar spreads. Let's just take a quick look at the list. UUP, the US dollar, is the first one on the list. All right, this one could make us 1,806%. UUP is a few places on the list here. All right, the open interest is really good on the Junes, not so good on the May 26s. We'll look at the actual slippage here in a minute. The debit is $1. The max risk in this trade is a whole lot more than that. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this one. This is not the one I had in mind in the beginning. And then I'm looking at it.